Welcome everyone. We're doing our weekly live Q&A. Feel free to throw any questions you have in the chat. We'll answer them as they come up. If you do happen to catch this on the replay, you can still put your questions in. We'll just get to them in the following week's live Q&A session at that time. If for whatever reason you have questions but you don't really feel comfortable putting them in the chat, you can always direct message us. We can either have a side conversation or I can save it for the following week's live Q&A then, whatever you feel best with. So wanted to go into, it is November 7th today. It's been a week since Halloween. We're about 3 weeks out from Thanksgiving, which means we're in the thick of the time of year when typical American looking to put on somewhere around 8 to 12 pounds between now and the new year. So I wanted to kind of get into that, some factors that cause that, and some factors that we can look at to try and mitigate and prevent that. And I want to start with, one of the big things that we kind of emphasize for clients and really anyone in general, this time of year, pursuing maintenance is sometimes the best approach that you can take for the remaining weeks of this year for a few factors. One, just you're going to be surrounded by temptation after temptation after temptation. Trying to maintain a caloric deficit to lose weight this time of year, it is Herculean in the amount of effort that it takes to try and be successful with that. So giving yourself some leeway by, let's just maintain your body weight. We're not trying to lose, but we're also not gaining any in the process. It is an easier achievement to accomplish because we have a little more allotment in calories per day to maintain than what it would be if we're trying to still lose. It's a good time of year for it because for anyone who's been diligent and on top of things with their weight loss pursuits most of the year, you need kind of a reset and break period anyways, just to break up some of the monotony of it, to break up some of the stress of it. Trying to be on a weight loss for an extended period of time is stressful, it's demanding. It can drain a lot of our mental energy in addition to just energy in its own right. And taking a break to maintain, rebalance ourselves, refocus, get a little more joy put back into our everyday can make it a little easier to sustain what we've accomplished and then refocus after the holiday season if there's more that we wish to pursue for that weight loss. A few factors that cause the weight gain to start creeping up again. The biggest things are getting out of our habits and routines. Obviously, there's the eating one. There's typically more baked goods, sweets, candies. There's more meals revolved around celebrations, at home, at work, extended family. There's just more opportunities for consumption, basically. All of that is, more likely not extra calories, and that we already know extra intake leads to extra weight and fat storage. Pair that with, because of a lot of the events, activities, and things that we've got going on, people have a tendency to start, how do I want to say this? Not giving up isn't the right word, but letting exercise kind of fall off the calendar. Big mistake is what I call, we look at exercise as give me time, where you're kind of looking at, I've got X, Y, Z to do, plus my usual A, B, and C. If I don't go for my walk today, or if I don't go to the gym today, that'll give me an extra, 30, 60 minutes to get some of these things done today. And when we play give me time too often, all of a sudden, we haven't worked out at all for the week. We haven't gone for any walks this week. And you do that 1 week, okay, we all have bad weeks, I get it, but you start doing it 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, it turns into 5, 6, 7, and now we got a habit of not going to the gym, not doing any daily movement, and we're kind of starting at square one again once the dust settles from the holidays and we're back into January. If you pair not being active anymore, not working out anymore with the extra holiday intake up in eating opportunities, that's where the weight gain off pretty much comes from. We're eating more and now we're moving even less than what we were in the process of things. So we're creating a huge opportunity for the body to start putting on unwanted weight. So ways to work around this. Again, first and foremost, putting the focus on let's maintain your weight. Let's not stress ourselves out by trying to lose more weight during an already stressful time of year when we know that we're going to want to eat a little more anyways. Give yourself that leeway. Maintain, rebalance yourself, connect with friends, connect with family, and then let's hit the ground running. In January, you've maintained for 6, 7, 8 weeks. We can hit the ground running because now you should be ready to really refocus and keep going if there's more that you want to accomplish in the realm of weight loss. Two big things from a nutritional standpoint: keep prioritizing your protein at your meals. If you can get at least in that 30 to 50 gram range of protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're pretty much taken care of for what your daily protein needs are, unless you're a really large male that needs more protein because of that. The average person, 30 to 50 grams, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's going to put you anywhere from about 90 to 150 grams a day, which meets the protein demands for a large portion of us out there. That helps make sure that we're stimulating protein synthesis in the muscle bed so your body can repair and sustain muscle, and make sure that we're not deficient in protein, because if you're deficient in protein, the body needs those amino acids. It'll start pulling from the muscles and breaking them down in order to meet those demands, which creates muscle loss. And if we're having muscle loss paired with weight gain, it's going to put our body fat at an even worse position at the end of the holiday season. So let's make sure we're providing what the body needs to preserve muscle tissue and keep it going. If you can prioritize a vegetable with that protein, those two things together will help preserve your appetite. So if you have your protein, your vegetable, then we can start looking at some of the more fun elements of the meal. It's easier to maintain portion control, which means that we're not going to excessively overdo the calorie intake at that meal. Paired with this, the big thing that I recommend, you already know, for the most part, the meals that are going to be harder to control, a little more out of hand, simply because there's usually a social element to it, whether it's a party, a family gathering. It's something where you don't have 100% control over what's being made, what's present. So still you can look at prioritizing protein, getting your vegetable. That still applies to those meals. But what I want you to focus on the most are the meals that you do have that absolute control over. The meals where it's just you, it's just your meal prep. There's no other major influence deciding what you're going to have. If you can lock in the protein, the vegetables, keeping the other high calorie foods to a very controlled amount, getting those in makes it easier on the meals that you can't control, because you're going to have a little more wiggle room. Whereas if you're just kind of flying in the moment, seat of your pants, grabbing this, grabbing that, and there's no control on those meals, it's much easier to end up overdoing it when we get to those social settings. Whereas if you keep your meals tight, calorie controlled, and balanced, you've got the room to have some fun when it's the time for it. So you can enjoy the moment, you can enjoy the food, and not get yourself in a lot of trouble, so to speak. So that's one aspect from nutrition to kind of keep in mind. And the other aspect with exercise, first and foremost, is work on sustaining what you've built into your routine. Getting time in your schedule is the hardest thing. So letting that time filter away for other things means you're going to have to rebuild that time habit again. Keeping the commitment to your exercise is a huge, huge, huge thing. One, by doing your strength training 2 to 3 days a week, you're going to better assure muscle maintenance and maybe even some muscle building, especially if we're eating for weight maintenance. It's easier to develop muscle at that point because you're not in a deficit and your body's not fighting to try and hold on to everything. Your body's now able to say, you know what, we've got plenty. We can build some more muscle. We can shape some of this. And it'll put you in a better metabolic position when you do choose to go back to calorie deficit and try and lose more fat, because now you're going to have more muscle on your frame and it's going to be easier to metabolize and burn and regulate. So don't compromise the strength training as much as possible in order to maximize the muscle retention and maybe even some muscle building this time of year. Do some form of movement every day still. It doesn't have to be formal in the gym cardio. It can be getting your steps. It can be, dancing with the kids at home, playing with kids during holiday break, going to the park, everyone taking a bike ride. Moving a little bit every day is going to help keep your expenditure up to balance more of that intake. And again, movement metabolically is just going to put you in a better position. So your body is used to metabolizing, it's used to the movement. So it's going to be easier to rev up after the holidays should you choose to pursue more fat loss at that point. If you have to choose between one or the other, I would probably aim for the strength training simply from the muscle retention standpoint, because you can do strength training in a fashion that's still going to get you a lot of the heart rate benefits that cardio would get you, but cardio isn't going to get you the muscle retention benefits that strength training does. So if you have to choose between one or the other, make the time happen for the strength training. If you need help as far as, how do I make a strength training program more cardio challenging, reach out, let us know. We can help you with that programming. That way you're getting a little bit of the best of both worlds without having to spread your time out even more throughout the day. That's a common thing needed for a lot of our clients. Everyone's busy, so if we can get the most out of one 30-minute session instead of having to have 2 or 3 occur in order to get those benefits, even better. Prioritizing the strength training, again, from the metabolic factor of maintaining and building muscle tissue over the next 7 or 8 weeks is going to be vital to your ongoing maintenance of what you've accomplished and setting you up for even better results should you pursue more weight loss in the next year. That's really one of the biggest things is preserve your muscle tissue by getting your protein in, doing your strength training. That way you're poised for even better results after the holidays and everything gets more into your usual routine. Again, I want to iterate, this is not the best time of year to try and go on a hardcore weight loss diet. You're going to set yourself up for a lot of frustration, challenges, mental fatigue, and potentially some major binging. And if you end up feeling like you failed at the diet, there's too many temptations that if you end up giving up, the likelihood of a binge afterwards is very, very high. So let's set yourself up for success rather than frustration and failure. Focus on maintenance. Focus on the key habits that are going to see you through, prioritizing your protein, getting the vegetables in, getting your strength training in, moving every day in some way, shape, or form. Maintain your body weight. That way you're poised on hand. If you've maintained the nutrition habits, you've maintained the exercise, once January hits, it's going to be so much easier to then say, okay, now it's time for the next phase to start seeing immediate results rather than trying to reincorporate the same habits back into your lifestyle again after 8 weeks of not doing it. Just a couple things. Hope that was helpful. If you do have more follow-up questions on it, throw them in the chat. we'll keep expanding on it every week. Until then, have a great week, and remember to stay persistent in your consistent pursuit of health.